we're here now. That's what matters. The first question is, what is your best definition of activism, whether that be original or an adopted idea?
Well, I think, personally, activism is what it is the word. It's defined by the word activism.
Absolutely.
To act, So I think activism is used to represent those that act for the betterment of the people. But activism is not enough. I think we have to all become complete rebels or revolutionaries. Rebels at worst and revolutionaries at best. And why do I open that up? Huh?
Do you want to open that up a bit more?
Yeah, and why do I say that? Because I believe that activism is, as Paulo Freire said, activism is just the act. Talking too much is just verbose. So we must combine acting, thinking, and talking. The dialogue, the thought process, and the act. And these three combined, working together, is revolutionary. And is what revolutionaries are made of. In the activism circle, especially amongst us as motherland people, the so-called Black world, as we say now, a lot of the activism is centered around integration. It's centered around people believing that capitalism can be saved by Black capitalism. That believe that the White House can be saved by a Black man in there. It even goes to the extent that women believe that the woman president in the United States is empowering for women. So all these are integrationist agendas pushed by different activists, who refuse to add the critical thoughts and dialogue necessary to come to complete a solution for African problems for our people all over the world. So that's what I think about that.
Yeah, so, we know that our understanding of social structure guides our behaviours and the way that we perform in our lifestyle. So to what extent has your life, based on the definition that you've given, been guided by that idea, either consciously or unconsciously?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's a conscious idea. There's no way you can come about this idea subconsciously. Even if you grew up with Fela and Kuti like I did, it is a journey that one has to take on their own, and the realization you come to independently. Because for the realization to become your reality, it needs your own personal stamp of approval and validation. Regardless of what the outside world is feeding you, regardless of the stimuli you are receiving from your environment, I think to make this decision is something that is quite personal. So definitely we are a product of our environment. We are shaped by those things that we grew up knowing. I think all African people all over the world, we all suffer from collective PTSD. And then there are some of us that acknowledge this PTSD. So we find solutions, treatments to our ailments. And we also understand that this ailment is not personal. You might even be a person of African heritage that has been shielded from the atrocities and the damage that is African existence today, but you still carry this trauma, whether you like it or not. You still carry this dysfunction, you still carry this toxicity with you. And you must be able to recognize it and come to the personal conclusion that yes, you are flawed. Yes, you are toxic. Yes, there are certain things about you did not comprehend that does not make you live the life that you're supposed to live in the fullness of it. And understanding and recognizing that is the first step. They begin to seek help. And help here comes from within and without. It comes from you understanding that you need help, and then the without comes from you taking the medicine, which is the knowledge that our ancestors have put down for us. Because there's very few things that we can add to the knowledge of our struggle today in this generation that those before us have not done, extensively so. You know, I feel that this generation, the generation that just has to use its talents to make those analysis African reality. That is our duty in the generation. Luckily for us, those before us have done the work to recognize, to analyze, and to also treat many of these toxic symptoms we have in our society, in our communities. You know, and that for me is what is necessary, recognizing and engaging these things without shame, fear, or anything like that, because, you know, it is what it is.
Yes, definitely. I think what you say at the end there, Seun, is so important. I think it would be an affront to try and position ourselves as innovators of thought, leadership, or ideas, you know, towards the revolution or the struggle. You know, a lot of it has already been laid down before. I'm not, you know what? I don't want to, I don't want to name names.
Listen, some of us will have to go into the mud, the depths of the mud to drag our people out.
Exactly. That's
because, you know, a lot of our people have been dragged down into that place. You know, we have to go in there and drag them out.
In the trenches, absolutely. That's absolutely fine. But I think the key for me is, you know, the way that we best honor our ancestors and best venerate them is to basically continue on with the work. You know, let's try and do as much as we can to move the work forward, you know, towards progress, essentially. So that is very, very big, very important. Nothing new under the sun, and we are by no means trying to reinvent the wheel, you know. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's a very powerful point. Very powerful point. So on that note, then, to your understanding, how important is activism to the nation-building agenda of the global Black community? And I use the word Black, if you get what I mean.
No, I mean, Black is accurate. Black is accurate. African is also accurate.
I agree.
You know, you know, both can be accurate. I will not be dragged into this conversation, Black versus African.
Right.
You know, a lot of people are trapped in that.
It's for those who want to flex intellectual muscle and show, oh, we know.
Exactly. The verbose people, the verbosity of it is what they like, you know, to hear the sound of their own voice.
Yeah. Or
to read the words of their own keyboard or the typing. Anyway. You know, so it is activism is important for us as motherland people, but what is even more important is the ideological aspect of our work. Being able to marry the proper thought process to our act is what is necessary. Because when I look at the Black world, the African world, sometimes we don't lack activism. You know, I mean, people are becoming billionaires, millionaires from, you know, Black suffering. People are poverty pimping. People have been poverty pimping Black people since the 60s. You know, so what I think has been missing is that, you know, we've not really defined, you know, we've not really agreed on what path. That's why I choose to use the word revolutionary or revolution. You know, maybe to make us understand the scope of the work better than saying, oh, activism is. I think what is important in every African community is revolutionary mindset, the revolutionary attitude, you know, revolutionary ideologies, because what we need is not a perfection of oppression. What we need as motherland people is complete change, overhaul of this system. Because whether we like it or not, this system feeds off our pain and suffering. The more suffering and pain that the global capitalist, multinational corporations, global white, global white domination and what they call white supremacy, but my political mentor has taught me long enough to see it as a pathology. And not people acting that way is not a way to be supreme. That's not supremacy. You understand?
Interesting.
The supreme humans are the kindest of humans. The supreme humans are the most understanding of humans. supreme humans are those that believe in dialogue more than conflict. That is human supremacy. What we have here is white pathology that is being sold, rebranded to the first world peoples of this world. We, the true owners of the world, is being branded to us as supremacy. But it's a pathology, you understand? And
powerful. That's very, very powerful. Because I'm a big believer in you kind of reference hegemony there, and to understand how hegemony works, language is a very, very important part of how people legitimate our frame of reference and how we understand the world.
Of course.
So huge point. That's a very, very huge distinction there.
Yeah, so these are the things that we need as Motherland people to come to grips with, to understand that we have to overhaul this system. We are not seeking to perfect it. We're not seeking to integrate that, the more black faces represent, the subjugation and domination of other black people, then it is kind of justified. Because Obama is black, then, America is suddenly absolved of any of its atrocities. No. Yeah. The fact that women are not allowed to run the majority of the world's arms manufacturing companies today are run by women. Does that mean feminism has won? Because those companies have not stopped killing women and children of other nations. So just because a woman heads the company now, what's that? So this integrationist agenda also kind of derails the people. When you hear people like Jay-Z, when he's doing his deal with the NFL, suddenly say, we are past kneeling. We are past kneeling, and then suddenly 1 year later, they are kneeling on George Floyd's neck, and he's donating money to bail out people. But you said we are past kneeling last year. Exactly. When you were getting your check. So what's up? Do you still think we're past kneeling? Are you going to address that? But nobody talks about that once you have a check. So even within our own communities as black people, even within ourselves, we find that we know that some people are selling out the people, and many of us that even criticize the sellout because the sellouts are not giving us a share of their own sellout penny.
Yes.
So it is activism in our communities today is so complicated, that we need ideology, even more than activism. We need ideology. We need people grounded in what is, so that you know what you're fighting for. You know why you're on the streets. I don't want to see African people on the streets fighting to save capitalism. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm wondering, what's going on, when you see Anthony Joshua on TV, for example, berating UK youths for burning down, for burning stores and looting and tearing up the system to show their displeasure. I have to ask, what kind of slave complains when the plantation is being burnt down? You understand what I'm saying? So, and this is our reality. We as motherland people that have been successful, that we've made it in life, we cannot use our own point of view and our own reality to assess the reaction of those of us that are the true victims of this system.
Yeah.
The reaction of the poor African people all over the world is the righteous reaction to the system, not the reaction that we've been able to secure some comforts within the oppression of our people.
The relative privilege of the few.
Exactly. And all our deals we're trying to protect. I'm trying to protect my world tour. I'm trying to protect all these things. We think that is the place you speak from. No, we are the people. When the people, as John Henry Clark said, when the people rise up and are moving, you have only two options. Is either you move with the people or you get the hell out of the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finish.
Absolutely. And whilst you're on the late, great, enduring Professor Clark, he said that we have not yet made Africa our holy land. Do you understand?
Yes. Is it truth?
If you look at every other group, what is their center of gravity? What is it that allows them to align regardless of all of their other differences, right? Sociological differences. What is it ideologically that brings them to a center of gravity where they are in agreement and in cohesion and are organized and unified enough to actually obtain power enough to be influential and to actually be
completely
the definers of their own destiny, you know? So that's where we are. We need to actually recognize what our center of gravity is. And that ideological standpoint needs to be an Africa first agenda, you know? And what does that mean? If you make somewhere your holy land, by all means, you protect it, you preserve it, you venerate it, you guard it, and you do everything you can to nurture it to its fullness. So for me, I believe that until we as a people are able to make Africa our holy land and have that as our ideology and as our ideological standpoint, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere, you know. But
facts, because it's only Africans that go for their religious pilgrimage outside their continent.
Yeah.
Some go to Mecca, some go to Jerusalem, and some go to Vatican.
Yeah.
You know, I ask this question all the time. You know, I always pose a hypothetical question to young members of my organization to let them understand why their mind is where the primary battle is won in your mind. You know, in my country, we have a very strong, almost extremist Muslim president. His name is Muhammadu Buhari. So I always say to my people, I say, imagine if the United States government calls the president of Nigeria one day and says, oh, a nuclear bomb has escaped one of our silos here in America. It has gone rogue. We cannot control it. It has jammed and is locked on 2 coordinates: Mecca, Saudi Arabia, or Lagos, Nigeria. President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, pick where this bomb should go. We are not going to ask anybody, we are not going to ask the king of Saudi Arabia. You have the sole decision. Where does this bomb go?
Right.
I don't answer the question. I just say to you, but where do you think our president is going to pick?
Yeah. Right.
So how can we say we are safe? Exactly. How can we say we are on the path of true development and self-actualization if we are not sure our president is fully on our side? And the same goes for all the elites right across Africa.
Absolutely.
You know, so the point about the Holy Land is I'm just trying to buttress it with that hypothetical scenario.
Yeah, for sure. No, well understood. Thank you for that. What you said, the other thing I want to go back to before we move to the next question was that you said that we need to, within ourselves, you know, adopt this concept of revolution, right? Where we are as a consumer society, and just against the sort of frame of reference in terms of what we're talking about language and how language is used, and we know that we're basically in a system where it is a culture industry. Given that we are in this matrix, and I hate to use that word because it is so overused, but that's
but it's accurate.
Yeah, it's accurate, exactly. Given that we are, do you think that people, and when I say people, I mean our people, are able to actually embrace this concept of revolution when they are so far into, you know, they have bought wholesale and they subscribe to this consumer society, this consumer age? Because when you look at things like Instagram and you look at the content that gets the most hits and likes, trust me, it is the stuff that is, you know, the sort of superficial fodder that
yes,
sort of appeals to the sense.
You know, as I said before, revolution is an ideological act. More than the violence that people attach to revolutions, revolutions are birthed from the mind. So you initially must be free before you want to live in a free society. You must yourself want to be free. And the number one realization of anybody that has actually attained any level of freedom is to realize that freedom is not the right to do anything you like, but actually freedom is the right to do the things that are hard.
Yeah. 100% agree. 100% agree.
And if this consumerist, capitalist society was so self-fulfilling, the masters of mankind, as Adam Smith called them, would not spend all the billions they spend every year to try and control the minds of the people. They will allow the system to self-fulfill. But they know that leaving the people to engage the system with their own free mind would lead to a collapse of the system.
The threat, absolutely.
So they engage a lot of talented Black people, and they engage them with millions of dollars. And their duty is to keep African people on the side of the imperialists. We have to understand the relationship that African people have with imperialists. That since for 500 years, the true African elites and leaders of society have been destroyed, wiped out, exiled, killed, even up to 1960, even till tomorrow. If you are standing on the true side of African people, you are an enemy of the system. We know this. So which Africans do this system embrace? It is the same Africans that help them to capture other Africans as slaves. It's the same Africans that help them to weaken African kingdoms. These are the African merchants, the Africans that believe that things are more valuable than people.
100.
Every society has that. European society is all about that. But Africans, we didn't believe in that. But with the contact with Europeans came the empowering of that minute sector of society, of African society that believed this. So they were willing to trade their brothers for gin, trade their brothers for mirror, their sisters, trade their children for anything. The shinier the thing, the better. Today is Rolls Royce, is Gucci, is private jets, but it's the same thing.
The same thing. But this is what I'm saying, and this is why, for me, the problem then is, how do you come to that personal revelation?
So now, it is two ways. It is either going to happen naturally without the people being in control, meaning that it will spark, and it is possible. And it has happened before, like in Tunisia, where somebody just setting himself on fire did what? Ignited the whole country. And the whole region, in fact.
Yeah.
But there was no ideological backing to the ignition. The people cast away the system, but then there was nothing, they weren't prepared.
Exactly. Which was a vulnerability.
So that's why revolution comes with that part, the preparation part, the mental work. So it might be that. Or it might be you and I and everybody like us continue what we're doing, and it gathers mass appeal.
Yeah.
Critical mass. We don't know. But as long as the fire never dies, because this is another thing I say to people, like everybody that African, African people are too far gone, we can never. Everybody wants to see us win and win now. Everybody wants to be alive to see. But it is impossible, for us to see.
It's impossible.
But the victory is that, irrespective of the billions that is spent every year, irrespective of the aggression that is targeted every year towards people that are trying to change the world, we find out that the light is being successfully passed from generation to generation. And that is all that matters.
Absolutely.
I don't really care if our people today wake up to realize that we are being ruled by the Africans that worship things over people. And that we are those people that they worship things over, that when they say things like, I'm a self-made man, when we know that many Africans died for us to have the opportunity that we have in this system, that no African was invited to do anything in this system. And whatever you are doing that is making you think you are self-made, somebody died. And you're only using that mantra because you're a coward and you don't want to pay it forward. You understand? So there are many of these toxic, you only live once. Many of these toxic, it is not the law, it is society validation of toxic behavior. The things people do that Black society validates. Talking down to Black women, killing Black people in your music. But you cannot kill a single cat in your music and get it released.
Right.
You understand? But you can kill black people all day.
Right.
And the media will still tell black people that you are the best musician for them and you are the number one. As long as you are telling them that while they are killing those black people, that they are wearing Gucci, you know, they are wearing Rolex watch while doing it. Make sure, don't forget the Rolls Royce you drove there. You know, but fast forward 200 years back, 300 years back, and black people were wearing chains and brands. You know, a white man's name sprawled across your chest or your back. You know, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it's not as if it's only black people that wear Gucci and Louis, but it's not a coincidence that we're the only ones that wear the one with all their names written everywhere. You know, and the chain is a chain, whether it's gold or not. You know, especially with the amount of black people dying in Congo and South Africa and Sierra Leone and Liberia for these so-called chains. You know, it's an insult that to those people's blood that we think that is how we have to show our progress and how successful we are. Right. You know,
right.
So exactly. I mean, so for me, it's not about all this generation of people breaking out or these Instagram people understanding that Instagram is actually, they are products of Instagram. That we are the products of social media, right? So I mean, so people don't. So, but for me, that doesn't matter. What matters is that this is not the only kind of African people around. Finish. That my daughter grows up to understand what I understand, so that I don't know when there will be enough of them. With the amount of money we have in the black world today, I'm wondering why we don't have proper think tanks paid for by these people that spend $300,000 on one wristwatch and are proud enough to tell us that $300,000 can pay for a think tank to solve black education all over the world. How we can cooperate with ourselves. $300,000 will pay for a think tank to come up with a policy that black people can adhere to. But this is not what they want to think about.
No.
They want to let you know that we are gentrifying our own neighborhoods.
Right.
We are, you know, let's kick out black poor people for rich black people. I don't even know what that means, gentrifying our own neighborhood. What does this mean? You know, so anyway, you know, so I mean, the toxicity is everywhere, and the media are in cahoots, the educational system is in cahoots, the religious institutions are in cahoots, you know, because that's what imperialism is. Absolutely. Imperialism will always need its traitors and compradors.
Absolutely, these are all the pillars.
Exactly.
And the machine, you know. But we continue to rage against the machine, not because of the external, but because we recognize our inherent value as human, as people, you know. Yeah. And that is where we find our value and importance. It is not based on the external and what is done to us.
The amount of internal conflict I see in people that say that they are normal. These toxic people that say they are normal, and you know, even when they speak, they contradict themselves because there's contradiction within their existence. Their entire existence in itself is a contradiction. So there must be internal turmoils. You know, we see people acting, lashing out, behaving like they are mad. You know, and we think they're just living life. No, it is the internal turmoil of their existence that is playing itself out. You know, in their actual lives.
Yeah, for sure.
But nobody wants to talk about that, you know. Like the way people want to talk about climate change, but not talk about profit being the real reason why there's climate. The real reason there's global warming and climate change is profit.
Yeah. You
remove profit from the agenda, global warming and climate change, whatever they call it, will reduce by 80%. But nobody wants to talk about that.
Absolutely.
No. You have to say it's because I'm using a can. I'm using a plastic in my house, you know, not because the US Army is flying planes and dropping 80,000 bombs a month so that some people can make profit of the death of other people, you know, like nobody talks about all those kind of things. You recycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So the next question that we've got is that, you know, activism gets a lot of, it's not always supported, basically. And people who are activists tend to be seen as negative, you know, militant. So what we want to ask is, why do you think the word activism has received a bad press historically?
That's why I say just accept revolutionary. Because, people accepted this activism slogan because they didn't want to seem dangerous. After the whole 60s, 70s revolutions of our people to give us these freedoms that we enjoy today, the right to vote, the right to be citizens in our own country, we just earned them in the 60s. People think like this is a long time ago. Imagine not living in your own country as we are in Nigeria and I couldn't vote, I'm not even a Nigerian, so I had to be bowing down to some colonialists. People didn't understand what it meant to be black until 1960 in this world. They always use this 1 million man march, I have a dream speech as a turning point of our situation, but that's a lie. Europeans all over the world could no longer manage their atrocities. There were over 484 anti-colonial and anti-slave trade battles in West Africa, in Africa alone. 484. It was unmanageable. They were being swallowed by their atrocities. You understand? So it is that. So when the things simmered down a bit, what was the first thing that they had to do was to destroy the image of the revolutionary. The Black Panthers, all these guys had to be painted as over-aggressive dictators, and things like that.
They were positioned, they were effectively positioned and cast as terrorists. They were demonized.
Exactly. They were basically, even the ANC were terrorists until 1980, if you remember quite clearly, So, for me, the answer to that is to now be like, I am what I am. I am a revolutionary. Like it or if you like it, like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. We have no explaining to do to people that killed 3 million children in Yemen, 3 million women and children in Yemen just last year alone. We don't have to explain to you why we are civilized. We don't have to explain to you people that cause starvation in Syria, in Iraq, in Somalia. People that do coups, we don't have to explain to you that we are democratic. We don't have to explain our democratic principles to those that sponsor coups all over the world. You understand? We have to become firm and strong in our beliefs and those things that we hold dear to ourselves. I mean, a revolutionary is a revolutionary. An activist is an activist. Obama can be proud to be the president of America. I should be proud to call myself an African revolutionary.
Absolutely.
I mean, without any qualms, whatsoever.
Yeah, love it. I think what you're saying about we don't owe these people, the sort of the state, if you like, or the bourgeois, if you like, and those who are in the position that hold the seats.
Yes, power. We don't owe them any explanation.
But do you think that we owe the people, because the reality is
we owe the people dialogue.
Yes,
not explanation. Fine. You see, the people that wanted to explain, those people that wanted to explain would never get it.
Yeah.
They wanted to explain because they want to continue to elongate the conversation and pick holes. Mm-hmm. Why would I have to explain African reality to an African in this world today? If you're not just trying to be mischievous. What we should have is a dialogue.
Dialogue.
We must agree. I start my conversation with anybody that you must first of all agree that we are overhauling the system. That's where we are starting from. What action is necessary, the steps to take, how to take those steps. If that's the conversation, that's the dialogue with all the people. So because we have to now define who are the people.
Oh, thank you.
To understand. Some people benefit from the atrocities of the system. And those people that benefit from the atrocities of this system, you cannot convince them that this system is wrong.
And I agree.
You will explain for 5 years and they will have an answer for everything. Because nothing is, even the fact that we are being oppressed and dominated, in logical, rational, European and Westernized thinking, it is not inherently bad. So if you are having that conversation to explain, somebody must always have a reason. There will always be a reason. Because that's what we do. We rationalize. Europeans want you to rationalize. Yeah. Because I've never heard anybody rationalizing a good thing.
No, exactly.
We know the world we live in.
Exactly.
That's why you know, the rational man is important, is espoused, is praised because he's a rational man.
The enlightened.
That's not irrational.
Mind. Yes, exactly. I
ask them all the time, I'm irrational because nobody rationalizes a good thing. So keep your rational. Yes. So that's where we start from. We start from being irrational.
Yeah.
I want to meet people that are just as irrational as me, and we move together. I'm not explaining to the rational ones.
Yes.
Because they have excuses, they have reasons.
Yeah. They have interests to protect. They have.
Listen, these people, they look at their Bentley, they look at you, look at their Bentley, look at you, they say, man,
exactly.
At least capitalism innovates. They will say to them, oh, but the first people to go out of space were the Soviets and the socialists. They say, yeah, but they didn't go to the moon. Oh my God. There's no winning. There's no winning. Don't try. They just try to drag you. You know, we have to understand that the people are those people that see our reality for what it is and are not trying to justify for any reason. You know, many people are also oppressors in waiting. You find poor people who house the oppressor. And it's not their fault. If you read Paulo Freire, The Pedagogy of the Oppressed, he explains the reason why that is. Because everybody in this world is educated by the elite of their country. Give you their spirits, you know, is to put their spirits in you. So you have a lot of poor people who house the oppressor because they've been through that educational system, you know, that has justified all the atrocities of the oppressor and has also used the oppressor as the example of society.
Absolutely.
You know, so you come out trying to be like protecting.
Yeah.
You know, also in the back of your mind thinking, oh, one day I will get there. You know, so all these nuances are real. These are real. You know, as if they're not in our struggle. These things are not just some virtual thing or some how do I put it? Hypothetical thing that we're coming up with to just have a mental exercise. No, these are true, strong situations in our communities. So we that want to advance those communities must differentiate between those who house the oppressor and those who don't, and try to work with those who don't house the oppressor. You understand? Because working with those that have housed the oppressor, and many of them, when you house the oppressor, you are still able to be saved. But when you house the oppressor and you now begin to benefit from the oppressor,
that's the point of no return.
There's no say, they are gone. They are gone, fam. It's like trying to convince. They try to convince the PA of a Nigerian governor. They try to convince the PA of a Nigerian governor that the governor is corrupt.
Ain't happening.
Defend it with his life, with his soul. How?
Exactly.
You know, so
yeah, no, for sure.
That's how we must also see the larger struggle.
We are not interested in the Sambos. You know, it's not the Sambos that we're trying to sort of reason with or
die. That to be wild. Sambo.
Yeah, you understand. They're not the ones that we're interested in. Our concern as a people, you know, and understanding the very core and essence of who we are as African people, we're interested in those who are possessed, you know, because whether you like it or not, you know, we all are possessed. And I think Dr. Amos Wilson speaks about this very, very well, is that we are all possessed by this spirit of the oppressor, you know, to some degree or another.
Definitely.
You understand?
Definitely.
So the point being is that there needs to be a way that we are able to communicate in a way that they understand the revolutionary sentiment, the revolutionary idea. Because until they recognize that they are possessed, until they're able to recognize that they are possessed, the critical mass that is needed is always going to be a challenge to obtain, because you need to first acknowledge and realize that you are.
I think that is not the truth. I think what happens, you see this conversation we're having, imagine if CNN picked it up, showed except of it and said, oh, check these people out, and MSNBC picks it up, and MTV picks it up, and BET picks it up, and all these influential people on their websites, they pick it up, and they share these ideas we're sharing now, do you think we will not gain critical mass?
Do you know what? Can I say something, Brother Seun? We will, but that critical mass, you know what you were saying about the fire burning out?
Yeah.
What will happen is that for a moment, momentarily, yes, we will, but it will peak out. You understand?
No, I'm giving you an example where these people are not, they are doing their job, right? So we are able to gain critical mass. Now it's our duty to do what, to keep engaging. How committed are we to organizing these people's attention we've grasped?
Right.
We've grasped, right?
Okay.
So that is how the world should be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That regardless of what, we should be giving as much visibility. What is missing here to the people is access to the knowledge.
Yes.
So you and I could discuss something so important to Black people, but what will BET rather pick up?
Yeah.
They will rather pick up the story of Cardi B and how well she shook her ass on her Instagram page that day. So it is not the people that are generally attracted to these things. We have to see that they are being guided there.
Absolutely.
See, these people do something before 3 hours, it's on CNN, it's on BET, it's on all the news magazines, it's on all the pages. So people are constantly being fed this information, and they feel like this is, if all these important platforms are only talking about this thing in about Black people, then definitely this is what is important to Black people. When they want Black people to talk, they bring professors. And when it's about the Jews and white people, you see professors, statesmen, all these people coming to talk. When it's for African people, who do you see? Musicians, basketballers.
But we understand.
The only book these people have read in their life, and they read this book, it was such a hard read, is 48 Laws of Power. This is the book they've read. And different life coach books. I'm telling you, and these are the people that will come and discuss, African issues on TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it is how the masses are distracted.
Yes.
And they spend, as I said to you before, billions of dollars is spent every year to keep the people distracted.
Culture industry.
Exactly.
The social tastemakers, the cultural tastemakers.
Exactly.
We know who they are. We know what the agenda is. But yeah.
They know themselves too. For me, it is. We must also see that we delay our progress when we choose to want these people to understand us. When we can grow what we are doing with those that already feel what is going on.
Yeah. No,
as Frans Fanon called the Black rich, the petite bourgeoisie, they lack the wherewithal to even have their own agenda. These people don't even have an agenda. The rich Blacks all over the world don't even have an agenda. The richest man in my country is the richest Black man in the world.
Yeah.
His name is Aliko Dangote.
Yeah.
His biggest business is cement business. Is the cement part of the best cement in the world? Hell no. He doesn't care about being the best cement manufacturer, which is what will actually give him global stance. But rather, he chooses to be the richest Black man by exploiting his people. You understand? But not knowing that if Bill Gates wakes up, even Bill Gates is too big. If Warren Buffett wakes up with Dangote's money, Warren Buffett will kill himself. Immediately, that is reason for suicide. I'm finished. I'm ruined. Kill me now.
Oh dear.
So,
man. Okay.
For me, we see all these distractions, and they infiltrate our community. They infiltrate the true revolutionary community, those people that want things to move forward for Black people. And they start pitting us against ourselves. Now you have Africans, the children of African elites that have now gone as agents from their parents, seeing that Africans all over the world are now becoming more African. Looking at the continent, it's time to send our children abroad to do what? To create another divide now. Now we are, you African Americans, African Americans are saying Africans are coming to America to take their jobs.
Yeah.
Africans are talking about how African Americans don't have culture, can't speak African language. I'm like, can both sides shut the fuck up?
Exactly.
You understand?
Mm.
You know, because on the eve of our defeat by the imperialists, everybody spoke the African language. You know, it did not save us from getting our ass kicked.
Right. Fine.
On the eve of our defeat to the imperialists, we had our strong African family bond and ties. Strong African family. The African family was strong. We still got our ass kicked.
Very true.
The only thing we did wrong was that we did not hold the internal traitors accountable for their acts. Kings will say, don't trade with these people. They are doing, but you go behind our back, we will forgive you because Africans are forgiven. And we still do it till today. Until they use it to weaken our community to the extent that we cannot even stand up to defend ourselves. You listen to, what's his name? This guy that the Dead Press used in the beginning of their album, Let's Get Free. So he gave an analogy that the Inuits, when they want to kill a wolf, they dip a blade of a knife, they dip the blade of the knife in blood, in like seal blood, and then they stick the handle in the snow. So when the wolf comes, the wolf licks the blade, slits his tongue, you know, he's now eating his own blood, but he thinks he's eating this knife. So it continues to lick and lick until it bleeds to death while thinking it's feeding itself. You understand? So this is the game. This is the game. Even in hip-hop music, in everything that is black in the world, this is the game that they play. Even in African banks. We have banks in Nigeria that don't give African people loans, man. But they will tell you people in America that the reason why you don't get loans, they will tell the people in America that the reason why they don't get loans from the bank there is because the banks are all white-owned. But all the banks here are black-owned, and we still can't get loans. You don't have heard that we killed a white person by mistake in Nigeria before? That the police shot a white man in Nigeria before? But black people are being shot by the police here every day.
Every blessed day.
So this is the game. And as long as we allow these compradors among us to think that we have to convince them of this reality, we'll be stuck trying to convince them.
I just there genuinely isn't that luxury of time.
Exactly. And the annoying thing that these people know, majority of the time, they are the ones that they are being used to carry out these atrocities.
Of course.
Dialogue is welcome. But I don't have time to go back and forth and argue with you. I don't have time to debate with you.
It's a waste. Yeah.
We want to dialogue on how we are moving. We must first agree on the situation. Those that have agreed on the situation are those we want to talk to.
Yeah.
Those that are still on the fence with the situation, okay, be where you are. And those that know the situation are enough. We just have to find a way to organize them. And that is, you know, where funding is necessary, you know, where resources are necessary. And that's why they keep us broke and poor. They make sure, you know, don't give him that job. You know, it's going to use the money for liberation work.
It's true. Very, very true. You know, so that is a very big aspect that needs a lot of support. So let's move on. What is one simple form of, as you would phrase it, revolutionary work that can be done on a daily basis? Just something basic that people need to kind of get to grips with.
Well, individually, reading the works of studying. So not necessarily reading. Let me not use reading. It sounds kind of elitist, bourgeois. Many people can't read, and it's not their fault. But they can study. I think studying is the number one duty of every revolutionary. It's the simplest. It's about you, and at the same time, it's about the community. Because the better you are, the more efficient you are for your community. And I think studying is just the number one. You know, and then what is secondly is to inspire someone to want to study too. I think that the two things that we need to do more of. You know, because I see many people study, but instead of inspiring, they want to lord knowledge over all. We want to use it as a way to be influential, to influence people, to control people. You know, so I think that is the flaw I see a lot in a lot of so-called revolutionary leaders in the community. That they are almost like demagogues, not true revolutionaries.
Yeah.
And there's a thin line between a revolutionary commander and a demagogue, very thin line, just the way, as Kwame Nkrumah said, an armed African without ideological, an armed soldier in Africa without ideological preparation is a potential criminal.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that has to be the two things, and in this day and age where we all have the world information at our fingertips, there are so many things we can learn. As I said to a lot of my students here, if you have time for Pornhub, you have time for Nkrumah. If you have time for Kim Kardashian and Jay-Z, you have time for Frantz Fanon. So
yeah,
I'm not saying stop your Pornhub. If Pornhub was 1 hour a day, reduce it, 30 minutes both sides, 30 minutes Pornhub, 30 minutes Pan-African job.
Balance. Life is about balance.
Yeah, find balance, Don't just be all about Pornhub. All I'm saying is give me some of your Pornhub time.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah. For sure. Alika?
With so much competing for our attention, attempting to distract us, how do we sustain our commitment to activism?
Well, I think what can help us sustain our commitment to activism more than anything is to be constantly engaged in the reality of our people. I think my revolutionary work is fueled every day by constant assessment of the state of African people all over the world. And if that assessment is honest enough, there's no way you want to sit on your backside or your behind or just fold your arms. You want to say something, you want to do something, you want to organize, And organizing African people is the toughest because, and I like this about African people. African people are allowed and we believe in questioning everything. Even if it's not the right thing we are questioning these days. But you can't just give African people something. We're not like Europeans, right? Where you just say, it's time to be Christian. Everybody just become Christian and nobody worships Zeus anymore. If they see anybody worshiping Zeus, they kill the person. And these same people come and tell you, oh, we are the most freest of societies. After you've killed everybody that doesn't agree with you. That's why you kill everybody that didn't agree with you, So Africans, we question, and you don't get killed for questioning. At least until we started having Western-style dictators in Africa. So I think, for me, that's what it's hard to explain that. Some people go through personal trauma. Some people might be in the struggle because a cop killed a brother that they're close to. Many things happen to people in our communities that make them engage in struggle. But I think the strongest must be the impersonal also. I've had personal trauma engaging with the system. Even what happened to my father, my grandmother, when my mother tells me her stories, I feel genuine anger, and pain. But trust me, it is not as much as what I experience or see, what I experience or see about the entirety of our people as a collective.
Yeah.
It doesn't compare to how that makes me want to act. How that, and not just African people, I now realize that there's just also this disdain for dark colored people all over the world. And nobody's explaining this disdain for no reason whatsoever. And yeah, for me, that is, we all have to find out one thing that it is. But for me, that is what it is the most. Being able to understand the African collective. And it's also an adventure. I'm quite adventurous. I enjoy this adventure. Instead of hiking, instead of going kayaking and snow diving and all these things Black people now do, I take my adventure in delving deep into the African journey, the African path and where we are, my position in this world as an African in relation to imperialism, in relation to our own local movements for freedoms and emancipation from this oppression. This for me is a great and interesting adventure. I get to meet a lot of interesting people doing the work. I get to learn a lot of interesting things You know, I think that for me that is what it is for me. But I'm sure with others it might be different. You know.
Yeah. That response kind of begs another question. How do you keep abreast of what is happening with the global African collective, with the family? Like, in practical terms, what kind of things do you do? Because I think it's important to open this up, right? We're saying we want people to be able to engage. What is it? What resources do you use? What do you actually look at?
Yeah, you know, people are the best resource, first of all. Keeping your connection to conscious people or people involved in the struggle globally, there's nothing more powerful in terms of getting information than that. You know what I'm saying? So you have a strong comrade in Brazil, you have a strong comrade in the UK, and, you know, people on ground. You know, and with your conversations with them every day, you have your pulse is on those nations, because they more than anybody else understand that nation. You know, once you understand the situation of the oppressed of any nation, if you understand the methodology of oppression that the dominants use, you understand that nation. You know, so for me, that is how I keep abreast mostly, is through my comrades. You know, they tell me I don't believe in CNN, I don't believe in any newspaper, whatever. I want to hear from my people. My people tell me the truth. You know. Secondly, articles written by those people that we respect but cannot meet. You understand? I can be a white guy right now. They say, so people don't say I'm racist. Noam Chomsky, for example, he writes an article. I want to check it because he's not informing me. He's bringing me up to date. Yeah. You know, I know for a fact that he's speaking on behalf of the people. He's not a mouthpiece for any corporation or any government. So what am I saying? I'm saying decipher your information from those that do not profit from giving you information.
Yeah.
Because as soon as information is for profit, it is no longer unbiased. It is for profit. So that is what it is for. So it is biased for profit. I'm not saying it is telling lies. I'm not saying it's telling the truth. But at least we know it is biased for profit.
Yeah.
So we know it will never really blame profit for climate change. So you'll not hear that in the news. You're not informed. You're not informing me where. Let me go and look for my news somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, so that's it.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's fantastic. Is there anyone else that you want to reference?
So there are so many people doing amazing work. You know, in the UK right there, my biggest conscious brother in the UK is Akala. I don't know if you've read his book, Natives. I keep telling everybody, like, I'm proud that somebody in our generation has also done our own work. So Akala's Native is our own gift to the future generations. I don't have to write any book anymore. Akala has done the work. You know, so in the United States, my political mentor lives in the United States. His name is Diallo Kenyatta. You can catch him on Facebook under the name Diallo Kenyatta. No relations to Kenyatta.
Yeah.
Jomo Kenyatta, you know, no relations. But that's my political mentor. He does a lot of good work. I mean, there are a lot of good people doing amazing things. I mean, you spoke of Seun.
Yeah.
Who is teaching Black people all over the world about self-defense, and because he's a strong part of the revolution and how to have that personal discipline for your body.
For sure.
So I mean, these are the 3 names for my own little circle.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. That's good enough. It's good enough. It's a good starting point for people. So thank you for that. Please complete the following sentence. My revolutionary commitment is inspired by
the situation of African people all over the world.
Yeah, lovely. I think it needs to be as simple and as profound as that. Thank you. So that's
my pleasure.
Yeah,
this is the best interview I've had this month so far.